Still to come on Top Gear, we find out what the clubbers of Ibiza think of the Ibiza, and what Quentin thinks of car-sharing lanes.
Round here, that counts for a traffic jam. If only Britain's roads were like this. But they're not, and they never will be. And if John Prescott and his henchmen have their way, they're going to get even worse. Undeterred from the recent M4 bus lane fiasco, they've come up with another half-formed thought.
You see, the government wants to inflict yet another one of their bad ideas on the motorist, car-sharing lanes. They've earmarked 10 stretches of roads, like here.
I think it's a terrible idea.
Here.
It's just going to make the traffic fall backwards.
Here.
I don't really agree with it at all.
Here.
We've got to be mad to do it.
And here.
If the roads are narrow enough now, we don't want them any more narrower.
The car share lane can only be used by buses and cars with more than 2 people travelling in them. The theory is that suburban commuters will cheerfully share their cars and traffic congestion will be reduced at a stroke. It's something the Americans have already spent millions of dollars on. They call them high-occupancy vehicle lanes. But at least over there, HOV lanes are a separate, dedicated carriageway, not an existing lane that's been converted.
Well, the Americans have got lots of space, fundamentally. They've got big, wide roads running over long distances, very few interchanges, very few corners. The Americans don't like going round corners. And you've got typically 8, 10 lanes. You've got plenty of space to introduce them. Indeed, they often operate the HOV lanes from origin to destination. That's a great benefit, a great bonus to the system.
Back on this side of the Atlantic, this is what Stanningley Bypass in Leeds looked like 2 years ago. And this is Stanningley today. There's no difference. In fact, the number of cars has gone up, not down. So Britain's first car share lane hasn't worked. £700,000 has been squandered on an experiment that's failed.
Fundamentally, we've got this difficulty of space. If you put an HOV lane in, or a special bus lane for that matter, you are inviting problems of reducing the road capacity. You've got to look very carefully at trips that people undertake to get to work, the length of journey, and so on. And then you're in a position to take something on and do something about the congestion problem.
Researchers at Edinburgh University reckon that one of the problems is the not in my front seat factor. All their data suggests that getting commuters to willingly give up their passenger seat is an act of the purest optimism. And drivers like Linda Hayward agree.
I like to have all my personal things to hand on the passenger seat. I certainly won't want to have anybody in the car on a permanent basis. Because it's my responsibility to get them there and back from work. If I had to give, like, men a lift, they're quite fond of giving you useful bits of information, helpful hints, which you don't need because you're quite capable of thinking of it yourself. Although they don't always think so.
But the bureaucrats are worried. The Blackwall Tunnel in South London was going to have an experimental car-sharing lane too. But the public response has been so hostile that the Highways Agency has put it on hold. And when we asked them for a statement, they said they'd rather not talk about it publicly. Perhaps someone in Westminster is having second thoughts. Let's hope so.
So we like the Seat Ibiza because it's fun and feisty and several